Okay, good morning. It's hump day. Wednesday on this week's weather thing was going to be the worst one. Showed the lightning bolt, the heavy raindrops, and I saw it. I don't normally consult the weather. I just sort of get a feel for it when I first go outside. It starting on Sunday threw me off the right sort of way. It tells me something in my body. Whether or not I believe it or not is up to you. Got some strange notions on the nature of weather, especially where the technology is concerned, but I don't want to go there. I'm crunched into time because limited space. So, at the very end of last night, I I destroyed something that I could have liked too much, and it's all the bullshit one does when they're high. Oh yeah, high as hell, high as hell. When you have a say you're going to be a sports person, you take performance enhancing drugs, and it does what you want in your little sport or whatever. That's a thing. And sometimes you can be disqualified because you're not supposed to be using these steroids, you son of a bitch. They test your piss and you lose your fucking record because you wanted an edge. All those reasons. The so getting rid of all that. Know yourself. If you know yourself, you can really do some shit to yourself. Now, whenever I realized something very strange a while back, and it let me peek into a theoretical space, and I ran with it. I didn't discuss it with no one, didn't confer, just this is just me observing what occurs and running it back for the video form because it's important. So it would not be like, first off, I don't know why I've elevated this situation as I have, but I really took offense to whatever the form, and I guess we're all responsible for doing it. I didn't blame anyone. It was me, and I knew it. Like, this could be a seed of your own perception where you feel like you're victimized, and some people do, and they love it. I did not think that where I got to, it were not possible to let that be any longer. It's not a normal place, but it's definitely like the fucking command share for the self that you have. Everyone should have one of those. Yeah, okay. So no one now I would I would experience gang stalking, and a long time ago I drew the conclusion. I was like, there's no way somebody could experience this in their life at all and it not be their fault. They have to be doing it. They have to do it. It doesn't make sense. People got mad. They're like, that's not true. You can't say that. I'm like, it is true. I am saying it. I'm sorry you don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like it either. Like, why would you do that to yourself? So you're experiencing reality. You're not manifesting fucking shit. That's not how it works. Most people got it wrong. But there's a mechanism in there that is that way to some degree. But just for you. Just for you. Now, there were some things I noticed about this fucking gang stalking element to which I'm ascribing me doing it, causing it. And one of the most weirdest clues that would verify this for me occurred years ago, where I picked who would be the mid manager, if that makes any sense. And it's a guy that I knew. I was slightly paranoid about, for whatever, you know. There are people like this in everyone's life, no doubt. No doubt. Anyway, this guy did get the job. He was hired. He took the job. We discussed it here. We discussed it here. We had a very strange, one day he came over and I laid this shit on this guy that, you know, this psychological thriller. And it caused the most strangest shit to occur so fast. I don't even know. I'll recount the story. So we're in my room. I was telling him this was my experience. Now, for whatever reason, this guy's got a real, he sees ghosts or something. I don't know. I don't. So, you know, take it as you want. He had perceived a relative of mine and said that they were coming through the window and was saying weird shit. Now, he didn't know my grandfather, who's dead and is my ancestor, that I never met in my life at all. But 2 or 3 times in a short period of time, a couple years ago, I don't even know how many. I guess it's not relevant. But there was one other person, a kid. This kid saw this same thing. He was describing it as a very tall ghost or something. And this kid was saying something about it going through the window of this other room at the time. And I never even saw this kid again, but what he was saying was fucking me up, because he did have a fix on it, and it is this very tall, more taller than normal ghost that I've never seen, which I've determined to be my mom's dad, Lucky. Lucky was really her dad. She didn't know. She found out at a different place in her life. Some bullshit story. It's the bullshit in my family where my mom's mom left her husband in the 50s, which isn't something you could get away with doing today in the same way. There's mixed reports. My stepdad says that he and her were married for a whole year. So she got divorced and married some other man who's actually my mom's dad. And no two people say the same thing about it. But there was drama. It occurred in the 50s. And there it is. Well, she didn't know she wasn't the actual child till she was 18. So there's another grandfather that's not biological in the family, and his family treated my mom like shit because she's a fucking out of wedlock baby. It's not her fault. Obviously, people in the 50s are, you know, how they are, but these are the facts. So they didn't like her. Why would they? She's fucking representative of everything fucked up my grandpa would have had experienced, in a way, I guess. But it fucked her up because she didn't ever know why, and then found out. So she says she was a lot more fucked up by this and continued it on her own. She was going to fuck me up with this truth bomb too. And my dad bypassed it because he told me when I was 12. He just told me here in Bastrop. He's like, here, you got to your grandpa Dewey's not your grandpa. I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And he told me the story. Now my mom waited for this. She was going to spring load this shit and do this damage to me like it was done to her, real time. And when she went to begin to do this, she was shocked because I was like, I already know. And she was mad as hell because whatever she had planned for years and years and years to psychologically do to me wasn't going to happen. And in fact, I was okay. It didn't bother me. I had already went through the process with it, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. She was mad as hell. And good. I'm glad my dad told me. But he was at least smart enough to know what was going to happen, how it was going to be handled. And he was. He knew. And he did. And I could handle it. I didn't freak out. And I didn't tell anybody I knew. I never told my grandma I knew. And I was mad at her about that because she never said a damn. She went to her grave and never let me know I had a different grandpa. And I was mad at her for that for a long time. Whatever, How do you know? I remember the last time I was sitting talking to her in her life when I, for whatever reason, believed this would be the time she would come out with it. She would finally say it. But she skipped over it and just went as business as normal. And there wasn't nothing I didn't tell her I knew. I don't know how I can even know that I had decided to do that. You do decide to have these moments of time where you know something more. And the further you go back in your life, you'll notice that how did you know the things that you knew? Well, I did. I guess we do come in with a better template from before our birth to some degree. But man, do we go to work on it with our life. So that's part of the story because it's basically the life body of the mechanism because it builds itself out of something stupid that's wrong like that. And then whatever it enjoys and likes, can also be its downfall, if that makes any sense. So recently discovering the other 50% of this negative ego state building block set, I destroyed its capability yesterday to make war on me in any more of a capacity. It was easy, but it had to be done in that state. Now, back to the drugs. Now, with me, I know myself. And I know that I took a great offense to how gang stalking would use its tools or whatever, which I'm still saying is my fault. But it was very judgmental on how it handled the person on drugs. Now, for me, I don't know what type of patriotic fucked up I am. I took its choice in that matter as an act of tyranny. And I would not go with it. The first time it would pop its head up, do its weird shit, and that's all it does. And you're going to have this problem with the drug, of course. I know, yeah, I know. So if you fight for your own right to do something stupid and harmful to yourself, you best damn know what you're doing. And I did. I still believe that people need the right, should have the right, and it's their right. And even if it's stupid, if you take the right away and you force all the knowns, then people don't discover things. And I don't think that's a good state. And it's all Nazis that, if they take something and decide all these things, it's not good for you because it's really not. People, yeah, you can fuck yourself up, of course, but you should have the right to do that. I believe as an American, that's an important right to fight for. No one else saw it that way. I was the only one. And ignorantly did I fight it. Because why? It would interfere with every part of why one even does drugs at all. It would fuck up your high. Yeah, it'd fuck your high up. It'd stop you in your progress. All petty shit. All the most petty, dumbass things. But I realized this. I saw it. I looked at it. I was it. I was it. So I had a different perspective on this situation, and it was necessary for me to have it to get this conclusion. But it had to be done. It had to be done. And whatever, like when I got to the place where I'm like, okay, now I see this is correct. This is the right thing to be doing, and why all that shit in the in the place where you are in your mind, where you're somewhat, it's like you'll be high. If you're on drugs, you're going to be affected by drugs. If you smoke weed, you're going to be stoned, and you're going to be affected by the weed for the entire time. And it affects all the ways that it does. Well, this one was a motherfucker because of its psychological crippling element. I mean, it's not the best drug at all. It's not good for you. It's harmful. It's a hard drug. So, no, the first thing I noticed that I could work with, and I'm proud of myself now for having done it, and I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. This was necessary for me. And how I realized it was overdue was I got some clues from things other people said about their own life in a body. Like Don. Don said something that made sense to be one person's own reason for their self, because it just is. Maybe I have a different form of gauging bullshitters, being a bullshitter in a way that I am to myself. You can lie to yourself, and you can lie to yourself till you're blue in the face, but you'll never really believe what you're saying in some level where that's not the case. I was relieved to conclude, but yet justified in fighting for the belief. There's a lot of weird internal mechanisms that had to be fucked with. And the clarity that you get at the end of that fight, and this can happen many times in your life, because you can chip on it for years, something like this, I find. But once I locked in on some of the key parts, I took my theory and I advanced it. It's no longer a theory. I put it into a practice and done it. Something key. And done it. I did. Because when I wake up today, I'm like, something's missing. Something's not right. What's going on? You wake up and you're a little bit aloof. You don't remember what happened. I now remember what happened, but I was disturbed for this because this is the first time in my life that part of me has been so, like, I went World War II fucking mode on it, and it has nothing, which was what I needed to do. And I resisted it because I enjoyed doing it. I did enjoy it. I knew better, but I wouldn't react from there. And then you start having destiny and pre-incarnated contract fucking details appear, because you can see how the timing of things is appropriate to the now you're in, if that makes any sense. I know it's sort of, fanciful, but it depends on each person can have whatever belief set they want about their life, what's going on earth, and that does bear in on it. I am a believer in existence and consciousness. I am certain to myself that this is not my first rodeo. I didn't come from primeval slime. Whatever the creator is above me. My pay grade can't even fathom it. There's role players here playing God, and they fucked up a lot of shit. They're not God. The aliens, Atlanteans, I don't know. I don't. That's not the mission on that. But being someone who comes from the church system, when I see the church system fail people massively as it has, I get mad at it, and I don't care for it the same. And that's where I'm at. Now, I have some good that came from being in that system, but I recognize a lot of what I think is bad still going on and not going to change, not going to do any different. And I've already begun my own personal work on how to administer the spiritual realm to the unbelievers, because I've always been that person. It's always been in my responsibility to guide the peer groups I've been in. They call you wizard, whatever the fuck, because that's one of my roles. That's what I do. That's what I am. So without the right tools to do that, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be right. You're going to be the most disenfranchised from yourself you could possibly be. So yeah, I did find that the tools changed. They outgrew the religious shit. I didn't realize until recently how disgusted I am with even the words the church people use. It just strikes me and pisses me off. I think they're fake. And just, I don't want to go into that. But I'm just saying, from that place, so congratulations to me, I guess. So now I can be back in the normal timelines. You won't find, this is what's difficult for me. Why does one use, so I'll probably smoke weed till the day I die, because I've come to the conclusion I like it. It's a good medicine for like pains and such. But there's not gonna be any reason that should be able to form that would cause me to use the other drug again. And from somebody who, like, stopping smoking was very difficult. And I won't smoke cigarettes now. I can smoke one, and I will, to get the nicotine, because I'm addicted to nicotine. But I don't want to smoke. I don't want to be a smoker. I don't want to have packs of cigarettes and damage my lungs using that as my prime administrative to my body means. But I dip, which does its own damage. It's a lot stronger. And one day I might just up and stop dipping. But I'm not there yet. I like it. It's sort of the same thing with it. I gotta have my tobacco. And so what are you saying? What actually occurred to stop me smoking? And I stopped on a day, and never did I have the craving for a pack of cigarettes again. I smoked a few. I can't smoke. I won't. But like, done with me as a smoker. It finished it. And how it occurred was getting the aluminum out of here. We had for many years, we had way too many cans. And we're waiting for the price to go up, right? So they weren't going nowhere. And I networked between my dad and this guy, Garden Gnome, for him to get them the fuck out of here because of how it was affecting me. I was aware of it. I didn't like it, but it had a beneficial effect because when those cans left, when that guy's truck went out the driveway, attached to that was my persona of heavy smoker me. And I knew that. I knew that much as anything else, and that it was leaving and it was gone, and I felt it leave. And I couldn't have done it any other way. It wouldn't have worked because I've tried before. It didn't work. And that's a very strange experience. Because I don't know what to tell people when I say that story. But I did. There's some Edgar Casey shit where somebody's asking him certain shit. Some guy he's asking him about this stuff he learned in Atlantis. And he got shut down by Edgar Casey in the trance, saying he didn't have sufficient balance of negative and positive to be able to get that information from him. And it had to do with aluminum. And so there's something weird about aluminum that if you fuck with it, I'll tell you who knows. Guys that work with sheet metal know this same knowledge about this metal. I know because I am one and I live with one. It's in our makeup. But whatever this guy was looking for, he got told no. So I am more than ever curious on what the fuck, but I've never heard anything else about it. I haven't gone into the specific Edgar Casey readings about Atlantis either. I'm just not that interested. I know it's a side quest. I'm just happy to be on the right side of it. Because in the case of this, I did have sufficient balance and did get the information for myself on what it could be useful for in an extended version. It's the weirdest, longest video. I can't believe it still is recording. I had to delete the first 2 videos that were not even as long as this one, and I have no idea what the fuck. At least you'll be able to hear it. So that's the context. This should be the greatest video I've made because it's about the most serious fucking shit one can have in their life and do something about or not. So there you go. Whenever I get this, that's it. This is how it happened.